Chapter 7, Red Crash Helmets and White Jumpsuits. After the movies, Tom walked home with Billy. Tomorrow I'll roll the crawler in cornmeal and fry it like a trout. It's not really the taste, said Billy. It's more the thought. When I start to eat it, even though it's smothered in ketchup and mustard and grated cheese, I can't stop thinking worm. Worm, 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 worm. Gaggles of worms in bait boxes, drowned worms drying on sidewalks, a worm squirming as the fish hook gores into him, the soggy end of a worm draggling out of a dead fish's mouth, robins yanking worms out of a lawn. I can't stop thinking worm. Yeah, but if I fry it in cornmeal, it won't look like a crawler, said Tom. I'll put parsley around it and some slices of lemon, and then you can concentrate and think fish. All the time you're waiting in the barn, all the time you're eating it, keep saying to yourself, fish, 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 fish. Here I am eating fish. Good fish. Trout, salmon, flounder, perch. I'll ride my mini bike into church. Dace, tuna, haddock, trout. Wait till you hear the minister shout, fish, 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 fish. Shark, haddock, sucker, eel. I'll race my father in his automobile. Eel, flounder, bluegill, shark. We'll race all day till after dark. Billy cheered up. Think how they'd all stare. I'd rev up the aisle, zip around the front pews, down a side aisle under the stained glass windows. My parents would kill me. Reverend Yardard peered down over the Bible stand. William, he'd cry, William, you take that engine thing out of here this minute. Yeah, and then they'd come chasing out after us, said Tom. Billy laughed, waving their arms and yelling, and we'd lead them zigzag around and in and out among the gravestones and monuments in the cemetery and then roar off down the Sandgate Road, leaving them draped over tombs, panting and shaking their fists. Yelled Tom, dancing around and boxing the air. And that Monday we'd smuggle it into class disguised as Raymond Dwelly because he's so fat and hide it in the coat closet. And then when Millie Butler said anything at all, even something like, excuse me, or if she even sniffed, we'd dump a whole bottle of ink over her head and run off the coat closet. Or run for the coat closet, overturning chairs and desks behind us to slow up Miss Howard. She'd come after us, fuming and shouting threats, and suddenly the doors of the coat closet would slam open, and out we'd roar on our mini bike in blood-red crash helmets and white jumpsuits, our scarves streaming out behind us. And we'd roar round and round the classroom while Miss Howard knelt among the overturned desks and chairs, sobbing helplessly into her hands, and then rum out the door and up the hall, thumbing our noses at the monitors. Brackety, brackety, brackety up the stairs, stiff-arming tacklers into Mr. Simmons' office, up onto his desk, brum, brum, a backfire into his face, and zoom out the window as he topples backward in his chair in a hurricane of quiz papers and report cards. And then, crunch, landing on the driveway, we roar off down the highway to Bennington and join the Navy so Miss Howard and Mr. Simmons and our parents can't punish us. Chapter 8, The Third Worm. Tom ran out the kitchen of Billy's house, holding the sizzling frying pan out in front of him with both hands, the screen door banging behind him. Alan threw open the barn door when he saw him coming. Tom thumped the frying pan down on the orange crate. There, he said breathlessly, done to a T. Look at her, all golden brown and sizzling. It looks good enough to eat. Yeah, said Billy. He poked the worm with his fork. Tom took off the potholder glove he was wearing. Think fish, he said. Remember, think fish. Trout, salmon, flounder, perch. I'll ride my mini bike into church. Eel, salmon, bluegill, trout. Wait till you hear the minister shout. Clam, flounder, tuna, sucker. Look out here we come, old Miss Tucker. Lobster, black bass, oyster stew. There goes New Orleans. Here comes Peru. He leaned over Billy and whispered in his ear, fish, 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 fish. Go on, take a bite. Fish, 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 fish. Okay, second bite. Fish, 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 fish. And there's a picture of him bringing in the fry pan. All right, chapter, is this 9? Yeah, chapter 9. The Plotters. Geez, you think it'll work? Said Alan to Joe. Suppose it doesn't. He didn't seem to pay much attention today. Don't worry, said Joe. We got him thinking. It takes time. I got it all doped out. Trust me. Chapter 10. The Fourth Worm. Billy ate steadily, grimacing, rubbing his nose, spreading on more horseradish sauce. Tom bent over him, hissing in his ear. Fish, 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 fish. Billy paused, watching Alan and Joe whispering by the door. He swished the last bite round and round in the ketchup and mustard. All of a sudden, he said, That's not fair. They can't act like that anymore. Every time I swallow, they lean forward as if they expected me to kill over or something. And then, when I don't, they look surprised and shrug their shoulders and nudge each other. Come on, said Joe. Cut it out. We can watch you. For Christ's sake. We're just standing over here by the window watching you. No, you're not, said Billy. You're whispering and acting as if you expected something to happen every time I swallow. It's nothing, said Joe. Forget it. Look, we'll turn around and look out the window while you swallow. What do you mean it's nothing, said Billy. What's nothing? Oh, come on, said Alan. It's just something Joe's father told him the other night. It's nothing. What? What? It'll just worry you, said Alan. It's crazy. It's nothing. Forget it. Billy tore the napkin away from his throat. Tell me. It's nothing, said Joe. You know how my father is. He's always yelling about something. Tell me, or it's all off. Well, look, it's nothing, but the night before last, I was telling Janie about you eating the worms, and my father was on the porch and heard us. So he threw down his newspaper and said, Joseph! So I says, yes, Pa? And he says, have you had a worm, Joseph? And then he grabbed my shoulders and shook me till my hands danced at the ends of my arms like a puppet's. It's for your own good, he says. So I stuttered out, it's not going to do me any good if I shake to pieces, is it? Janie was wailing. My mother was chewing her apron in the doorway. Alfred, she cries, what's he done? You'll deracinate him. Has he hauled down the American flag at school and eaten it again? Has he? So what's the point? Yelled Billy. Get to the point. What's it all have to do with me? I'm coming to it, said Joe, wiping his nose. But I wanted to show you how important it was. My father nearly killing me and all. He sneezed, and then Alan began to sneeze, and finally had to hobble off into one of the horse stalls, hugging his stomach to recover. Anyway, said Joe, wiping his nose again and hitching up his Levi's, so my father told my mother he thought I'd eaten a worm. A what? Says my mother, dropping her apron and clutching the side of her head. A worm, says my father, nodding solemnly. So my mother fainted, collapsed all helter-skelter right there in the doorway, and lay still, her tongue lolling out of her mouth, her red hair spread out beautifully over the doorsill. So will you cut it out? Billy yelled. Who cares about your mother? What does it have to do with me? I think he's lying, said Tom. Whoever heard of someone's mother fainting and her tongue hanging out? All right, yelled Joe apoplectically, stomping around. All right, now I won't tell you. You can die, Billy Forrester, and you'll have to carry him home, Tom Grout, all by yourself. Nobody says to me, who cares about your mother? All right, I'm going. Alan, he yelled, they're insulting my mother. I'm going. Don't, said Alan, running out of the horse stall and grabbing Joe by the shirt tail. Don't. You gotta tell him. Even your mother'd say so. Mine, too. No matter what he said. Ain't it a matter of life and death? I won't, said Joe, starting toward the door. Alan pulled him back. You got to. How long have we known poor Bill? 6, 7 years? For old time's sake, Joe, because we were all once in kindergarten together. Think of the agony he'll face, Joe, the pain and the blood and the gore. Billy was on his knees by the orange crate, wringing his hands, not daring to interfere. But when Joe glanced sullenly back at him, he whispered, "Please, Joe, for old time's sake." "Well, will you apologize for insulting my mother?" "I do," said Billy. "I do. I apologize." So, Alan and Joe began to sneeze again, and this time had to bend over and put their heads between their legs to recover. Tom, who had been watching them suspiciously, trying to make out what was going on, started to say something. "Shut up!" hissed Billy fiercely, turning on him. "You keep out of it!" So Joe went on with his story. How his mother had been carried upstairs to her room, how the doctor had come, shaking his head, how his aunt had sobbed, pulling down all the shades in their house, how that morning his mother had finally come downstairs for the first time, leaning on his aunt's arm, pale and sorrowful. How... "Yeah," said Tom. "Sure. So, why? What does eating worms do to you?" "Nobody will tell me," said Joe, opening his eyes wide. "It's been 3 days now, and nobody'll say. It's just like the time my cousin Lucy got caught in the back seat of her father's Chevrolet with the encyclopedia salesman. Nobody'll tell me why there was such an uproar." He wiped his mouth. "But one thing's sure, it's worse than poison." "Probably." "Crap," said Tom. "Oh, yeah?" said Joe. But then he and Alan had another sneezing fit, sprawling helplessly against each other. "Look at them," said Tom to Billy. "They're not sneezing, they're laughing. Come on, eat the last piece and let's get out of here." "You really think so?" said Billy doubtfully. The sneezing did look an awful lot like giggling. "Sure, look at 'em." Tom gave Alan and Joe a shove. They collapsed in a heap, sneezing uncontrollably. Billy watched them. Yeah, sure, they weren't sneezing. They were laughing. Weren't they? "Hay fever," gasped Alan. "Hay fever." "Oh, you never had hay fever before," said Tom. "How about yesterday or the day before? Come on, Billy, open up." So Billy, half believing Tom and half not, glancing doubtfully at Alan and Joe, allowed Tom to poke the last bite of worm into his mouth and lead him out of the barn. Alan and Joe sat up. "It didn't work," said Alan. Joe began to brush the chafe out of his hair. "You wait. He wasn't sure. Tom was, but he isn't eating the worms. You wait. Billy's worried. He was before. That's why he said he felt like he was going to throw up. But now he's really worried. Suppose I wasn't lying. Did you see his face when I said my father shook me? I thought his eyes would bug right out of his head." Alan laughed. "Oh, geez, yeah. And when you said your mother fainted?" Joe stopped brushing the chafe out of his hair. "Except, why'd you laugh so much? For Christ's sake! If you'd kept a straight face, even Tom wouldn't have guessed." "Aw, you laughed first. What do you mean?" "Me? I laughed first? I did not." "You did so. You laughed when he yelled at you the first time. You wiped your nose." They went off through the meadow, arguing. Chapter 11. Tom. Billy pushed the frying pan toward Tom. "Okay, Fink, it's not supposed to hurt you. You eat a piece." "Oh, no," said Alan. He and Joe were lying on their stomachs on the hayloft watching. "If he eats a piece, you lose, Billy. The bet was you were going to eat 15 worms, not you and him together." Billy didn't look up, his eyes fixed grimly on Tom. "All right, then I'll go dig another worm, just for him. He's so big, telling me, 'Hurry up, hurry up. I can't wait around all day. Don't be a sissy.' All right, now." "I'd say sissy," said Tom uncomfortably. "I didn't say sissy," said Tom uncomfortably. "I just said if the first 4 worms didn't kill you, this one wouldn't." "I can't help it if my mother told me to be home by 2 today. She's going shopping, so I have to mind my brother." "Yeah," said Billy. "Okay, so we'll just have time for you to eat a worm before you go. Come on, where's the shovel?" "Here," said Alan from the loft. "We brung an extra today." A worm dangled squirming from his fingers. He dropped it to Billy. "It's not cooked," said Tom. I'll do it," said Joe, scrambling down the ladder. He took the worm from Billy and ran out, then ran back and grabbed the frying pan. Tom sat down on an overturned pail to wait. He didn't want to eat any worm. It wasn't his bet. He glanced at the door, creaking in the wind. Maybe he should make a break for it. Of course, he could see Billy's point. Billy didn't believe Joe's story, but still, he'd find it reassuring if Tom ate some worm too. He'll eat it, Billy was saying to Alan. If he don't, he's chicken, said Alan, after all his talk. Why don't I eat it, thought Tom. I mean, it's a yucky thing to do, but it wouldn't kill me. He scratched his neck, shifting his seat on the pail. I don't know, thought Tom. I just won't, I guess. He gagged, imagining what it would be like to bite down on a soft, fat, boiled worm. He glanced at the door again. Billy kicked the door shut. Leave it open, said Tom. Why? Because I said so. Yeah, well, you don't own this barn. Neither do you. Your father does. Billy rubbed his nose, watching Tom, figuring, he's trying to pick a fight so he won't have to eat the worm. Okay. Billy opened the door and set a brick against it. Tom shifted his seat on the pail again. He couldn't stop thinking about what it would be like to bite down on a soft, fat, boiled worm. He scratched his ear. Who did Billy think he was, trying to order people around, telling them telling them what they had to eat and all? Billy wasn't anybody's father. Tom began to feel put upon and indignant and stubborn. A screen door slammed. Joe coming back from with the worm. Tom licked his lips. He heard Joe running across the barnyard toward them. Billy! Alan shouted. Billy spun around just in time to catch a glimpse of Tom pelting out the door banging shut. He flung to the window. Joe sprawled in the middle of the barnyard on his back. Tom was clambering over the wall into the meadow. The frying pan lay upside down beside the horse trough. Chapter 12. The fifth worm. Look, said Billy to himself, staring down at the fried worm on the plate. Be sensible. How can it hurt me? I've eaten 4 already. Tom was just scared. He's like that. He eggs other people on, but he never wants to do anything himself. Give up? Asked Alan. Come on, said Joe. We haven't got all day. 5 more minutes, said Alan. Then I win. There's no time limit, said Billy. For the first time, he wondered what he'd do if he lost. Where could he ever get $50? But how could he eat 10 more? Big, fat, ugly, soft, brown things. He couldn't ask his father for $50. He heard Alan and Joe whispering together. He's gonna quit. Yeah, I knew he'd never make it when I bet with him. He talks big. Him and Tom are just the same, but they never do anything. Billy gritted his teeth, glopped on ketchup, mustard, salt, grated cheese, and whatever was on the crate. Anything, everything, and then grabbed up the worm and tore it apart with his hands, stuffing it into his mouth, chewing and swallowing, gulping. Then, panting, he reached out and wiped his gooey hands on Alan's trousers and grinned messily up at him and said, There, 5. Chapter 13. Nothing to worry about. That night, Alan asked his father to show him $50. After that, he couldn't sleep, tossing and turning in his rumpled bed. Suppose he lost. He could just see himself asking his father for $50, begging for it, on his knees, tears streaming down his cheeks, and then at Thanksgiving dinner, cringing while all his aunts and uncles and cousins roared over his father's story of Alan's bet. He slid out of bed and snuck down the carpeted hall to his parents' bedroom. You gotta wake him, Miss O'Hara. You gotta, he whispered into the phone. It's an emergency. I gotta speak to him. Pause. I got a hoarse throat, Miss O'Hara. That's why I'm whispering. Please. Pause. Gee, thanks, Miss O'Hara. Now, I won't ever call this late again. It's... He waited, gnawing at his thumbnail. A board creaked on the stairs. He stiffened. Silence. What do you want? Said Joe suddenly over the telephone. Geez, I was sleeping. You woke me up. Joe, suppose I lose. My father'll never let me take the money out of my savings account. I know he won't. You think I'll lose, Joe? Huh? Joe, tell me. Give it to me straight, Joe. I gotta know. I can't sleep. Joe sighed. Look, I told you this afternoon. You got nothing to worry about. He's cracking. Sure, he ate that one today. Sure, he might... Sorry. Okay. Sure, he might... Yeah, and that's it.